Welcome to the tutorial video for Iron Chest. Iron Chest is the final expansion for Iron Helm. Here's a look at the Iron Helm box next to Iron Chest. Really what we're going to be doing in this video is looking at the 5 expansions or booster packs that come in Iron Chest and kind of discuss basically how each one works. And I wanted to show what the whole idea, why this came in this box. My thought process behind it. So what comes in here, there's the unboxing video above this video that hopefully you have watched already. So everything that comes in here, you get some minis, some dice. We're not going to go through all of that right off the bat. You can see what is in here in the unboxing video. That's the random encounters pack. We got new dividers that go into the main box. And here's all the cards. It just adds a lot of content as far as cards. Get them all out. There we go. So the idea is all these cards are going to end up going into the Iron Helm box. So you'll have your old Iron Helm box. You'll have your instructions. And you're going to be adding new dividers in here. I have new dividers for all the adventure packs. Actually have the name of the adventure on it and what level it is, so you can replace all of these with these. And there's also new dividers for different card types that come in Iron Chest, like environments, inflictions, henchmen, and artifacts. So it also comes with these for the Lonely Troll Inn deck, Realms and Relics, Loot and Lure, and Beast and Burdens. Those are some of the packs that actually are in here, which we're going to go through in a few minutes. So the whole idea was I didn't want to make a whole new giant box. I really like this deck box for holding all the cards. So you're going to be able to take all the little bits and dice and chits and stuff out of the base game, put those off to the side. You'll be adding all of your new cards. I'm not going to actually put them and divide them all up, but there will be room in here for everything once it's done, sleeved and put together, so you can keep all of your cards in this box. That's the idea. And then in the new Iron Chest, you'll be able to keep all these larger cards. You can throw your instructions if you want to in there, and if you happen to have the Iron Helper, which Ben Haskett designed, which is something I think is really cool. It comes with this pretty cool thing to keep track of your health and scoring at the end of the game. It has a thing for your encumbrance and visibility. It comes with little cubes to place on all of these spots. And then it has these really cool cards that give you information as to how to end a level and facing your boss and ambushes versus skirmishes and things that'll just help you have quick reference while you're playing the game. This is really helpful if you're new to the game, but a lot of people just like using it because it just makes the game run a little smoother. So you can fit all of this in this box as well, along with everything that came with the base game. And you should be able to, do a little better job than I'm doing right now. And you should be able to get everything fit into here. So in the end, you'll have 2 boxes, one with all of your bits and dice and all that stuff, and then all your cards in one. So that's the idea behind it. Now let's take a look at everything that comes in the Iron Chest and how it works. Okay, the first thing we're going to look at in the Iron Chest is the Random Encounters expansion. What this does is basically add some sort of random event that will occur in between each level of the dungeon. So what does this little expansion come with? It comes with 4 double-sided new dungeon cards. Now before we had little poker-sized cards and you use a little pawn to move it along. Now you get to use these really cool minis that the Game Crafter is manufacturing. You got a little female. It's probably hard to see, but they're really nice. They're on little cobblestone stands. This is a female Viking warrior. You have a wizard with a sword and a staff. And then you have this, looks like a male archer, ranger type character. I really like them. I think it's going to add a little bit of theme to the game. So how this works is you're going to choose one of these cards based on the dungeon level or the adventure level that you're playing through. So if you're playing just with the base game, you're going to be doing a level 1 adventure. But if you're playing with one of the adventure packs, you're going to find one of the cards that match the level of the adventure pack you're using, and these icons will be a little bit more difficult. And what's nice is I made each side have different icons, so it adds a little bit more variability to play and a little bit more randomness to the game. Maybe not randomness, it's actually probably more strategy, because you can see what icons are coming up. So at the beginning of the game, you're going to pick one of these little minis to represent your character. You're going to start it in the first spot like you would normally with the little map card. But at the end of the dungeon level, when you go down to the next dungeon level, you're going to have to use, or you're going to have to look at what icon is here and resolve it. So you can come over here, and all 6 of the different icons are shown. So let's just quickly go through them just so you get an idea of what this mechanic can add to the game. You have a trap that you'll have to roll a dice to see what happens with the trap. You have an enemy, which causes you to have to draw a random enemy and go into combat. You have a mushroom, which allows you to potentially find some food. You have a treasure, which allows you to find a loot card. Obviously, potions, you're going to gain a potion card. So there's good things and bad things. And then there's also the random encounter, which is this first icon here. And you roll a dice to see what happens, and things can happen such as falling rocks, poison thorns. There could be a fountain. You got to have a fountain in a dungeon. A corpse. And so it just adds different things that can potentially happen to you when you're playing the game. So that's what Random Encounters does. It basically just adds these really cool little minis that you can use. I'd like to see people paint them. I'd love to see posts of what people come up with in regards of that. And it comes with all these different levels that you can explore through. So that's what Random Encounters is. Let's look at the next booster pack. Okay, the first booster pack we're going to look at is the Lonely Troll Inn. So each one of the 4 booster packs come with 18 cards. So there's 72 total cards that come with the Iron Chest, and each one will come with a cover card that looks sort of like the artwork that would normally be on one of the packs, hence the Fanny Pack. But because I didn't want to spend or make the game cost more money, I decided I would make a card that has the cool artwork, so you could keep it, but I didn't have to spend the extra $4 to add 4 more foil packs. So anyways, let's take a look what's inside the Lonely Troll Inn. So Lonely Troll Inn will come with this cover card that'll have the artwork, give you an idea of what's inside the expansion. If you flip it over, it'll give you a detailed little instructions as to how to use this expansion. So that's what comes in there. It also shows you what icons all the cards in this expansion have. So once you put these cards, if you do put these cards into your game, you can easily locate them and remove them if you want to remove them for a different gaming session for whatever reason. So Lonely Troll Inn, what does it come with? Comes with a whole new mechanic. So we get henchmen. People have been asking for henchmen. So basically the lore behind Lonely Troll Inn, this is the inn on the outskirts of the world that you are retrieving to every time between different adventures. So this is your place where you go to rest and heal between adventures. And here is a place you can always buy trappings here and get your life back, your energy back. But you can also now hire these henchmen. We'll look at those first, then we'll look at all the new trappings that come. So each henchman card is going to have a little illustration of what the character looks like that you can hire. It's going to tell you their name. It's going to tell you how much morale they have. And it's going to tell you how much money it costs to hire them. So this particular character, Matilda, she is going to cost 3 gold to hire. And she's going to have 4 morale. There's a little flavor text here. She says, my knowledge of herbs will aid us well. And then you can read about her. We'll just read through one card so you get an idea of how these cards work. Matilda is an apprentice alchemist and a good cook. All attacking potions do 1 extra damage, and health potions heal for 1 extra health. When at the campsite, she will automatically take the cook action using her own food, gaining you 1 extra energy and 1 extra health. You may choose to take an additional action for yourself. So those are the positive things about hiring her. So she'll be with you. She doesn't have life. All these characters will only leave you if their morale drops to 0. As soon as their morale goes to 0, they leave. So you're wondering, well, how do you track it? Well, Iron Chest comes with a nice little dice. So when you get this, if you hire this character, you'll put it next to all your characters and character stuff, and you'll place a dice on there that with the corresponding value. Now, what's really fun about this is every character has a different abilities they're going to help you with, but they also have a different way how they lose morale. So in Matilda's case, Matilda loses 1 morale every time you take 3 or more damage. Her morale cannot be regained by paying her an additional gold. So a lot of the characters, you can pay gold to bring their morale back up. Not her. She can't be paid off. Money's not going to keep her around. So normally you can pay, like I said, you can pay money and boost people's morale if it starts to drop, but not in her case. So hers will drop every time you get hit. So she doesn't like to see violence. So let's just take a real quick look. I'm not going to read all of them, but you have Matilda, you have Idis, you have Borko, you have Farzad, you have Olive, you have Bogdana, you have Godfrey, you have Yak. So they're all very different, different sexes, different races, different backgrounds, and they, like I said, everyone has really distinct mechanics as to how they're going to help you and aid you, and you can use them to sort of balance out your character. And I think it's a really fun addition to the game. So that's the sort of the meat and potatoes of the Lonely Troll Inn, but I'm not just going to give you 9 characters without adding a bunch more trappings that you can purchase whenever you're at the Lonely Troll Inn. Oh, I forgot to mention, you also get a character card that comes in the Lonely Troll Inn. You get Mizlak the Beggar. So anyone who's played Iron Helm and has some of the expansions or the booster packs will know that Mizlak is sort of alluded to in one of the adventure packs. I don't remember which one it was, but there are some of his items there you can find as loot. So this is him in the present time. He's had some rough times and now he's a beggar. So you can play as him, and he has terrible stats and doesn't come with any trappings or anything, and only has 1 gold, so he's very difficult to win the game with. But if you win the game with him, you gain 10 extra points at the end of the game. So that's what he does. So you get 1 character and you get a bunch of trappings. We have a sharpening stone. I'm not going to read all of what they do. I'm going to let you guys figure that out on your own. You have ice tome, you have faith beads, you have studded coif, you have a fire tome, poison dart, punch daggers, and garlic. So you could probably use your imagination as to what those trappings do. So this is what you will find in the Lonely Troll Inn Adventure Pack for Iron Helm, part of the Iron Chest. Let's move on to the next pack. Okay, moving on, here we have the Realms and Relics pack. This one adds 2 new mechanics or 2 new card types to Iron Helm. So there's a lot of mechanics here in play that'll be add quite a bit of variety to the game. So what does it add? It adds environments, a bunch of environment cards. We'll look at those, and we'll look at those second, I think. And it adds artifacts. Just like the last pack, on the back side of this is all the instructions as to how to utilize the cards that come in this pack. So artifacts, what are they? They're very powerful items. So you have the Star of Brahma, you have, well, Dragon Dungs are the 1 card in here that's really not great, but it's still not terrible. You have the Blood Letter, you have the Golden Morale, you have the Divine Plate, you have Revenge, Doombearer, and the Belt of Ogre Might. So these are all really powerful cards. They have huge values, 12, 8, 11, 9. So they're worth a lot of money, so they can score you a lot of points at the end of the game. But more importantly, they have really powerful effects that I'm not going to go through all of them. I kind of want you guys to see them. People who've been following this process probably have seen most of these cards on Facebook and Twitter. Anyways, I wanted you to see what the cards look like. Kind of how they work is, actually, I'll tell you exactly how they work. Whenever you are told in the game for any reason to draw a loot card, so you kill an enemy and you get to draw a loot card, you can pay a blessing token to take a random artifact instead. So the first artifact that you go to gain, you will pay 1 blessing, and you don't get to draw a loot card, so it's in lieu of drawing a loot card. Then you can draw an artifact card. If you want to get a second one, you have to pay 2 blessings, and they increasingly get more expensive by 1. So your third will cost 3, and so forth and so on. So getting a lot of artifacts is very difficult. It's the mechanic that I just described is meant to limit how many of these you can actually acquire, but definitely spending a blessing to draw one of these early in the game is going to be very helpful. So you have those artifact cards. What else? What else can we add to this little 18 card pack? Well, environments. So environments is a card when you're playing. You can choose to play with any of this extra stuff or not. You can add 1 or 2 of these mechanics or add everything. But environments, what they do is at the beginning of each dungeon level, you draw one of these and it'll tell you what the dungeon level is like. So let's take a look at the different types. We have the Shadow, we have the Parched, we have the Abandoned, we have the Watch, we have the Plateaus, the Death Grotto, the Bogland, the Frost Glen, and the Sanctum. Most of them make the game more difficult. The Sanctum's the only one that's really a positive thing. So adding the environments will make the game more difficult. So for those of you looking for a challenge, I definitely suggest you add these to the game. So let's look at an example of one of these cards so you get an idea of what they add to the game. So let's look at the Shadow. You open your eyes wide, as you can see, and hold on, let me start that over. You open your eyes as wide as you can in an attempt to collect as much light as possible. So you're in a very dark environment. Red text says, whenever you draw an ambush card as your first card, you must resolve the card. But it must be resolved as if it were drawn as the second card. So what this means, if you played the game, what this means is when you draw an ambush card first, normally you get the advantage of attacking first. Not in this case. So in this case, when you're on a dungeon level that's the Shadow, whenever you draw an ambush card first, you have to resolve it. You have to resolve it, and you have to resolve it as if they ambushed you, as you know, like as if you'd drawn it as the second card. Terrible. If you resolve the treasure card on this level, you gain an additional 2 gold. So there's good things to this level is that if you do happen to find the treasure card, you'll get 2 extra gold. And then it says here, when you defeat an enemy on this level, you gain a potion in addition to whatever other treasure they have. So that's actually a really big kind of a boon, because potions are pretty powerful in Iron Helm. So yes, ambushes could really mess you up really bad in the Shadow, but you're going to find more loot and treasure on this level of the dungeon. So like I said, there's a bunch of these. They all add all sorts of thematic bonuses and things that will hinder you. Let's move on to the next pack. Okay, here we have the third pack that you'll find in Iron Chest, and that is Beasts and Burdens. This will add 1 new type of card, and maybe we will look at those first. They add afflictions. Nobody likes afflictions. Anyone who's played the game Desolate understands what afflictions are. So there will be certain enemies and other ways. Let's actually, on the back of this card, it tells you different ways that you can gain afflictions, and we'll read them really quick. If you run out of food, and if you cannot feed your adventure at the end of the level, you gain an affliction. So if you're unable to feed yourself at the end of the level, you gain an affliction. We'll look at what these things do to you. It's not good. Poisoning. The moment you gain your 3rd poison token, you gain an affliction. So basically what this is doing, it's going to add a little more tension and panic to the game, because I didn't feel there was enough. Because now you're really going to be worried about having food at the end of the dungeon level, and you're going to be really worried about your poison level. The third way to gain an affliction is some of the enemies in this pack will give you an affliction. So there will be some new enemies, hence the beast portion of the name of this deck. So let's look at some afflictions really quick. We have Plagued, Insomnia, Cocksure, Enfeeblement, Gluttony, Necrophobia, Gold Lust, and Hysteria. So each one of these that you gain will have some sort of terrible effect on the mechanics of your character. So anyone who's used to playing with the Dark Matters expansion for Desolate will understand basically how these work. Let's just look at one. Here's one, for example. Enfeeblement. Your muscles have begun to cramp up and you feel a deep, dull pain in your bones. Maybe it is age catching up with you, or worse, an evil spell. You can no longer carry as much. Subtract 2 from your max encumbrance. Remove any items in your inventory if required to meet this new threshold. So each one of these is going to do something to screw with your mechanics. Some of them are going to affect how much damage you can do and all sorts of things. So that is the Inflictions decks. I'll leave the rest of them for you to find on your own, figure out on your own. I don't want to spoil too much. So you have this card. Obviously the instructions are on the back. And let's see what else we have in this deck. Something people have been asking for are mini bosses. So I thought about this. How do I add mini bosses to the game? Well, the easiest solution that I came up with was plot cards. So now you can add these 3 plot cards to the plot cards in your game, or just choose 1 or 2, or if you want to really be mean to yourself, you can add all 3. What they do is add monsters to the plot. So your plot is not just some sort of story you get to read, it's actually an enemy. And they're not quite as strong as bosses, but they're definitely more difficult to defeat than your average enemy in the game. So you get to fight the Death Knight, you get the Dreadradon, and the Tundris. So they, as you can see, they have good health, good attacks, pretty nasty special abilities, and some of them will cause you to gain afflictions. The one thing you will want to take note of is that these cards all have 4 eye icons. So yes, it's nasty when you pull one of them up, but it does get you closer to fighting the boss. So those are also in the Beast and Burdens. Plus, I added 6 all new and unique enemies to the game, and these can just be thrown into your base enemy deck, and they will add some more difficulty and variety. So they will up the difficulty of the game, just so you know. But they do add a lot of variety because everyone is unique. You have the Unblessed, you have Grey Ooze, you have the Sentinel, you have a Fire Troll, you have the Octahedron, and the Fungal Horror. So that's what comes in the Beast and Burdens deck. Lots of enemies, lots of nasty afflictions. It's really just not a very fun deck, and I kind of feel bad that I actually added it, but hopefully you guys will like it. Let's move on to the next. Okay, here's the final 18 card booster for Iron Chest. Now, the first 3 that we've already discussed are all packs very similar to the Loot and Lore pack that's already been released quite a while ago, whereas they can be added or subtracted from the game as you so see fit. So you might want to add the Beast and Burdens for one game, or you might want to add the ability to hire henchmen in one game, or you might want to add all of that content. It's up to you to mess with and see what you enjoy and what you don't enjoy. This last deck is actually an adventure pack. It is the 7th adventure pack, Adventure Pack 7. It is the Spire of Zogar, and it is the only level 4 adventure in Iron Helm. In this game, in this adventure pack, you're going to get to face off against Zogar himself, the elusive Zogar, who's mentioned in quite a few of my creations, but you never actually get to see or face or fight him. Now you finally get to do that. So what comes in this? Obviously in the back side you have instructions as to what's in the deck. Let's take a look at the cards that come in it. First off, and most importantly, Zogar himself. You have Zogar as the final boss that you will face in Iron Helm. He gives you a bunch of gold. He's very nasty. What's his special? Zogar is immune to holy fire ice attacks. Whenever Zogar rolls doubles, you lose 2 energy. So yeah, he's not fun. So hopefully I get to see some videos online of people playing this and beating Zogar. What else comes in the adventure pack? Very similar to most other adventure packs. It does come with some new enemies and some new loot cards and some plot cards. So what do we got here? Well, first of all, we have a lot of plot cards in this one. We have 5 plot cards instead of the typical 3 in an adventure pack. So we have that. We have the old, let's look, we got the Hovel, we have the Wicked One, the Bone Pile, the Trapped Stag, and the Old Bridge. We also get some final loot cards, 5 new loot cards, some pretty powerful stuff. You have the Seer's Blade, you have the Shield of Draining, you have the Cultist's Cloak, you have Helgen's Elixir, and you have 2 of them actually. Really nice potion to get, hopefully to help you right at the end of the game. Also, what would a dungeon be without some new enemies? So we have 3 of the Possessed, sort of Zogar's minion type character. We have 2 of these Umruses, which are these creepy salamander type suction cup bottom creepy lizard folk. That's exactly what they're called. And you have a Bone Lord. He's almost as strong, maybe as strong as the mini bosses. So he's a nasty guy to add to the deck. So that's what comes in the final adventure pack for Iron Helm. And the last thing we're going to look at before I end this video is the Fanny Pack. So hold on, let's take a look at that. Okay, the last thing we're going to look at is the Fanny Pack. So there's some spoilers in here, so you might not want to watch this portion of the video if you don't want to kind of be surprised as to what's in this pack. But if you want to stick around, we're going to look at it right now. So a lot of people love these booster packs from the Game Crafter. It's really kind of fun to get this sort of the booster pack feel, like, you know, if you ever played Magic the Gathering or whatnot like that. But in this case, you know exactly what's in there. There's no randomization or anything. But anyways, let's take a look at this Fanny Pack, which includes a bunch of really cool items and characters and whatnot that were created by fans. A few items from myself. So let's open this pack up. Okay, always fun. Hopefully I don't injure myself. Okay, there we go. So let's take a look. I haven't even opened this up yet, so this will be all new for me. Obviously, I know what's in here, but I haven't actually opened the pack. So first off, we got a loot card. What is it? The Greedy. I'm gonna butcher the name of this. Zwilhander. Obviously, I know what this type of sword is. A big 2-handed sword, and this was created by a fan. It's a pretty awesome card. We also have the Keepsake, also fan-created content. Really cool little card. Let's see what it does. While the Keepsake is in your inventory, you gain 2 morality. So this helps you move up that morality track, which can be pretty crucial for you in certain plot cards. Let's see what this first character is. Oh, we got Grimwald. Who's Grimwald? That's the character from the box. Yeah, I got the box right there. Here's Grimwald. So now you can play as the character from the box. One of the fans wanted that to happen, so it has. Enemy card, what do we got? Ooh, this is the one I came up with. Morlock, which is a playoff from the Time Machine. I think that was the 1967 or somewhere around that time that movie came out. I was a kid. And I wasn't alive back then, but I was born in 77. But I remember watching Time Machine as a kid, and these guys scared the crap out of me. So I'm like, these guys are going in my game. So we have that as sort of an Easter egg type enemy you can add to your game. We have another trapping card. What do we got? A Magic Acorn. This is one I came up with. Another movie I loved as a kid was Willow. So you can now have one of those little acorns in the game. What else we got? Artifact. Ooh, a heart capsule. It's basically a heart container from Zelda. Huge fan of Zelda growing up as a kid in the 80s. So I added a heart capsule. It is an artifact. What does it do? When equipped, add 2 to your maximum health or discard to gain 2d6 health. So pretty awesome item or artifact to have. Excuse me. We got another loot card. And let's see what this loot card is. An Undeath Potion. This is another fan-created card. Discard to destroy any undead foe with 5 or less base health, or discard to make an enemy weak to undead attacks. So if you come up against a boss that maybe has weakness to fire, you can use this item, make him weak to undead attacks, and that might be helpful to you if you have maybe holy water or a weapon that does holy damage. Let's take a look here. Oh, this is just the Fanny Pack card. It has a little illustration on the back, which is kind of a teaser to the next game I'm kind of working on right now. And this gives, on the back of this card, tells you how to use this pack, what's in the pack, and then it gives credit to all of the fans that helped come up with items and monsters and what have you. Let's see what we got here. Here's an enemy. Ooh, a pit trap. This was an enemy created card. I mean, a fan created card. I think it's a brilliant idea. One thing that Iron Helm didn't do as well as I'd like to do is have traps. So this was a cool way of doing it, basically making a trap an enemy card. So there are, I believe, 2 of them. Another one's in here somewhere. So there'll be 2 pit traps that you can add to your enemy deck. Another enemy, Giant Spider. Every time the Giant Spider successfully hits, your next attack costs an extra energy to execute. So that's supposed to mimic the being entangled in some spider webs. Trappings. What do we got here? Potion of Luck. That's fan created. So was the Giant Spider, I should mention. Discard to reroll all of your dice during an attack, or discard to reroll the dice from an enemy's attack. It only costs 1, so it's kind of a nice little thing to have. So if an enemy hits you really hard, you could have them re-roll their dice and potentially get, maybe they'll miss. It'd be a good thing to have against the boss. Okay, plot. Oh, this plot happens to be a mini boss. So another mini boss. So there'll be 4 mini bosses you can pick from to add to your game if you'd like. This one is the Goblin King. This is also fan created. You may avoid this conflict by discarding loot and trapping cards with a total combined value of 4 or more. So you can basically bribe this guy and get past him. A loot card. What do we got? Ooh, Telhofer Buckler, nice little battle buckler shield. Subtract 1 from initial damage, so it acts like most shields, plus 1 damage to the sum of attack roll, so it also adds to your attack. May be used with 2-handed weapons. So this is a really kind of a cool item because it gives you a little defense, gives you a little bit of an attack, and you can still use 2-handed weapons where you cannot use 2-handed weapons with any other shield. So this was also fan created, so really cool. Really like that idea. Character. Oh, we got to have Nanok the Barbarian. Yes, that's Conan backwards. And he's wearing a fanny pack. So yes, hence fanny pack. He comes with the fanny pack and the parry skill. He is a pretty interesting character to play as because he has lots of health and decent amount of energy, but very low encumbrance. He's a barbarian. He doesn't want to carry much with him. So the trick with this guy is going to be what equipment are you going to use? Enemies. Another enemy card. Oh, there's the other pit trap. Okay, another enemy. The Assassin, another fan-created character. If resolving an ambush card that was drawn as the second card, the Assassin gets to inflict initial damage twice. So if you happen to draw an ambush card as your second card and you pull this Assassin, which isn't going to happen very often, but if it does, it's going to be painful. Probably kill you. Okay, trapping. The Fanny Pack. I mean, you have to have a fanny pack and a dungeon crawler. When equipped, you may carry up to 3 accessories without affecting your encumbrance. So it weighs 1, allows you to carry 3 accessories, and they weigh nothing. So that's what is helpful to that barbarian, right? Last thing is a plot, the Looking Glass. I'm not going to go into this, but this is really one of my favorite plot cards now, and it is fan created. So that is what is inside of the fanny pack, and this will be the end of the video. If you have any questions, please leave them in the crowd sale comment section, or if you go to the YouTube channel and actually leave the comment on the YouTube video, I will respond there as well. Thank you very much and have a good day.